Brock Lesnar just destroyed Bron Breakker and the Vision, and I am absolutely disgusted. The Beast Incarnate, a part-timer who shows up whenever his bank account needs refilling, just annihilated the future of WWE in one of the most cowardly, undeserved attacks we've seen in years. Are you serious right now? Brock Lesnar, who hasn't carried this company on a weekly basis in years, who picks and chooses when he wants to grace us with his presence, just came back and obliterated a group of full-time wrestlers who show up every single week breaking their bodies for this business. This wasn't a competitive fight. This wasn't even a fair confrontation. This was a massacre designed to make a part-time mercenary look unstoppable while burying the very talents WWE should be building their future around. If you're not absolutely furious that WWE just sacrificed Bron Breakker and the Vision, legitimate rising stars with unlimited potential, to feed Brock Lesnar's ego and justify his ridiculous paycheck, then you haven't been paying attention to how this company destroys young talent. I'm about to break down every sickening moment of this brutal attack, expose why this is one of the most damaging things WWE has done to their roster in years, and explain why Brock Lesnar's return is a death sentence for the next generation. But before I absolutely unleash on this travesty and expose WWE's complete disregard for building new stars, you need to subscribe to Ring Rumble 1 and slam that notification bell right now. We're the only channel that refuses to bow down to part-time legends and their undeserved protection. While every other wrestling channel is marking out over Brock's return, we're telling you the truth about what this means for WWE's future. If you're sick of seeing talented full-time wrestlers getting sacrificed for part-timers' nostalgia pops, this is your home. Now let's tear apart why Brock Lesnar's brutal attack on Bron Breakker and the Vision is an absolute disaster. Let me paint the picture of what happened, because every single detail of this attack makes my blood boil. The Vision was in the ring cutting a promo, doing what they do every week because they're actually present and working to build their characters and connect with the audience. Bron Breakker was fired up, talking about how the Vision represents the future, how they're tired of being held back by management and part-timers who take their spots. And then boom, Brock Lesnar's music hits. The crowd pops because they're conditioned to pop for nostalgia and spectacle. And before anyone can even process what's happening, Brock is in the ring destroying everyone in sight. F5 to the first member of the Vision. German suplex to the second. Another F5. Another German suplex. Bodies flying everywhere. And then Brock turns his attention to Bron Breakker, the one guy in that ring who actually has the physical tools to potentially match up with Lesnar in a few years, and proceeds to demolish him worse than anyone else. Multiple German suplexes. Bron gets thrown around like he's a jobber. Like he's some nobody from developmental instead of a genetic freak with a legitimate future. And the attack doesn't end with one F5, oh no, that would be too kind. Brock hits him with multiple F5s, leaving Bron lying in a broken heap in the middle of the ring. The entire Vision is decimated. Bodies everywhere. Medical staff rushing to the ring. Commentary selling it like we just witnessed a crime scene. And Brock, he just stands there with that smug smirk, laughing at the carnage, before walking out like nothing happened. This is what WWE considers good booking. This is how they choose to utilize one of their most expensive part-timers. By having him bury an entire faction of young talent in under 5 minutes. Let's address the elephant in the room. Brock Lesnar is everything wrong with modern WWE's part-timer problem. Don't misunderstand me, I respect Brock's legitimate credentials, and make full-time wrestlers look like absolute garbage. And what does WWE get in return? A temporary ratings bump, a few social media posts, some short-term buzz that'll be forgotten in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Bron Breakker and the Vision, wrestlers who could potentially draw money for WWE for the next decade, just had their credibility destroyed. This is the same pattern we've seen over and over. Brock comes back, destroys everyone, collects his check, and disappears. And the full-time roster is left to pick up the pieces and try to rebuild credibility that was obliterated in minutes. Remember when Brock destroyed the entire roster leading up to WrestleMania 31? Remember when he made everyone look weak compared to him? Remember how that killed the credibility of multiple rising stars? WWE learned nothing from that experience. Out of everyone who got destroyed in this attack, Bron Breakker is the one I'm most furious about. Bron Breakker is 27 years old. He's got the Steiner genes. He's got legitimate athletic credentials. He's got the look. He's got the intensity. He's got everything WWE claims they want in a superstar. This man should be untouchable in terms of protection because he represents WWE's future. Instead, what happened? He got ragdolled by a 46-year-old part-timer like he was absolutely nothing. All the work WWE has done to build Bron as a monster, all the matches where he's shown his dominance, all the potential he represents, wasted in 5 minutes to make Brock Lesnar look strong. Here's what makes this so insulting. Bron Breakker is one of the few guys on the roster who could be believable as Brock's eventual rival. He's got the size, the strength, the explosiveness. In a few years, with proper booking and development, Bron vs. Brock could be a legitimate dream match between two genetic freaks. But WWE just killed that possibility. How can fans take Bron seriously as someone who could eventually challenge Brock when they just watched him get absolutely demolished without getting any offense in? How can we believe Bron is a monster when he just got treated like a child by Lesnar? This should have been booked completely differently. If WWE absolutely had to have Brock attack the Vision, at minimum Bron should have put up a fight. He should have gotten some offense in. He should have made Brock work for it. There should have been a moment where it looked like Bron could actually hang with Lesnar, even if he ultimately lost. Instead, it was a squash. A complete and total burial. And that's inexcusable when you're dealing with someone of Bron's potential. Let's talk about what this attack means for the Vision as a faction. The Vision is supposed to represent the rising generation fighting against an unfair system. They're supposed to be dangerous. They're supposed to be a legitimate threat. They've been positioned as a group that can compete with anyone when they work together. And in one segment, all of that got destroyed. Brock Lesnar, one man, came out and obliterated the entire faction like they were developmental talent having their first match. There was no competition. There was no back and forth. It was just Brock destroying everyone with ease. How is the Vision supposed to recover from this? Faced anything like him. They'll be putting Brock over even after he's gone back to Saskatchewan to sit on his farm until WWE needs him again. Meanwhile, they're losing credibility every single day because fans remember them getting absolutely destroyed. You want to know what really makes me angry about this? It's the message this sends to everyone in the locker room and everyone watching at home. WWE is telling their full-time roster, it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how much you sacrifice for this company. When a part-timer comes back, you will be sacrificed to make them look good. How is that fair? How is that supposed to motivate wrestlers to give everything they have to WWE when they know they'll just be fed to nostalgia acts whenever it's convenient? And to the fans, WWE is saying, the past is always better than the present. These new wrestlers you're investing in, they're not actually that good. The real stars are the guys from 10 to 20 years ago. This creates a toxic cycle where WWE can never build new stars because they keep telling the audience that new stars aren't as good as the old ones. And then they wonder why ratings decline when all their part-timers eventually retire. Look at what happened with John Cena's generation. WWE spent years having the previous generation put over Cena and his peers. They made the conscious decision to build the future even if it meant the past taking some losses. But now, WWE is so terrified of upsetting their established stars and so desperate for short-term pops that they refuse to properly build the next generation. And attacks like Brock on the Vision are the perfect example of this cowardice. Let's talk about the business side of this for a moment, because it's absolutely insane. WWE is paying Brock Lesnar millions of dollars for limited appearances. Let's say conservatively he's making $5 to $10 million per year for maybe 10 to 15 appearances. That's somewhere between $300,000 to $1 million per appearance. And what did they get for that investment in this particular case? They got Brock destroying their future stars. They got a 5-minute segment that will be forgotten by next month. They got a temporary spike in social media engagement. You know what else they could do with $5 to $10 million? They could properly develop multiple young stars. They could invest in better training facilities. They could hire better writers. They could create sustainable value instead of renting nostalgia. But WWE is addicted to the quick fix. They're addicted to the easy pop. They're addicted to bringing back legends instead of doing the hard work of building new legends. And that addiction is killing the business. Because eventually, all these part-timers are going to be too old to work. Brock is 46 years old. How many years does he have left? 5, maybe 10 if he stays healthy. And when he's done, when all the part-timers are done, WHO is going to replace them if WWE keeps destroying everyone who could potentially fill that role. You want to know how to book Brock Lesnar's return correctly. You want to know how to use him in a way that doesn't destroy your future. Here's the answer: have the Vision survive. Maybe he needs a weapon, maybe he needs to retreat, maybe he wins but looks exhausted. The key is that the Vision comes out looking credible even in defeat. But that's not what happened. Instead, we got a complete burial that helps nobody except Brock Lesnar's ego. Here's what people don't understand about segments like this: the damage is permanent. Bron Breakker and the Vision will never fully recover from this. Oh sure, WWE might try to rehab them. They might give them some wins over midcarders. They might put them in angles designed to rebuild credibility. But fans will always remember the night Brock Lesnar destroyed them like they were nothing. That image is burned into everyone's memory. And every time the Vision is supposed to be taken seriously as a threat, someone will remember, yeah, but Brock destroyed all of them in 5 minutes. This is how WWE creates a ceiling for their talent. They book moments like this that fundamentally cap how high someone can rise. Bron Breakker just got his ceiling lowered because WWE needed to make Brock look strong for a one-off appearance. And in 5 years, when WWE is desperately trying to build Bron as their next top star and wondering why fans don't fully buy into him, they can look back at this moment and understand exactly why. Brock Lesnar's brutal attack on Bron Breakker and the Vision is everything wrong with We's current philosophy. It's short-term thinking. It's nostalgia addiction. It's part-timer worship at the expense of full-time talent. It's the complete failure to build a sustainable future. Bron Breakker is a generational talent who just had his credibility destroyed. The Vision is a faction with potential that just got buried. And for what? So Brock Lesnar can have another dominant moment to add to his highlight reel. So WWE can get a temporary ratings bump. This is unacceptable. WWE needs to make a choice. Are they building for the future, or are they content to keep recycling the past until there's nothing left? Because you can't do both. You can't build new stars while constantly having them destroyed by old stars. This is Ring Rumble 1, and we're done accepting WWE's destruction of young talent. Drop your comments now. Are you as furious as I am about Brock destroying the Vision? Should Bron Breakker have been protected? Is WWE's part-timer obsession killing the business? Let's have a real conversation because WWE needs to hear that we're not okay with this. Hit that like button, share this video with every wrestling fan who's sick of part-timers being prioritized over full-time talent, and let's make our voices heard. The future of wrestling depends on us demanding better.